Alright, so for this video, I want to take a look back at the final 5 possessions during Game 3 of the 1994 Eastern Conference Semifinals between the New York Knicks and the Chicago Bulls. This was one of the most fascinating playoff games ever, but I just want to stick to the final 5 possessions. If you like, you can go ahead and skip ahead to the highlights, but first, I just kind of want to set this video up, mainly talking about Scottie Pippen. So to begin, I want to start off with some positive items about Scottie Pippen, as he was such a great all-around player. As a fan, I love seeing Pippen lead the fast break with his strides, his decision making with his passing, dunks, or graceful layups racing down the court. Moreover, I loved Pippen's off-ball defense. So I wanted to mention the positive aspects that I really liked about the great Scottie Pippen, because I made a couple of videos about the Bulls in the 90s and the Portland Trailblazers in the late 90s and early 2000s, and in those videos I talked about some of the negative aspects of Pippen's game, as I thought Pippen was not a good isolation player, as he didn't have the ability to create his own shot, but he was able to score in plenty of other ways. And also, when Pippen was not a teammate with Jordan, Pippen was not a person you want to lead your team and could lose control at times, become unhinged, as those two items we talked about with these last 5 possessions. So here we go. Patrick Ewing, he just made a layup, which narrowed the Bulls' lead to 4 points with a little more than a minute left. Obviously, the Knicks need stops, and Scottie Pippen for the 93-94 season was having an MVP type of year, and this was when Michael Jordan was retired for the first time. So Pippen here, he was going to be guarded by Anthony Mason, who I thought was an excellent defender, despite not having the awards and the accolades. So with the shot clock winding down, Mason, he does a great job not allowing Pippen to get deep position down low, and you're not going to be able to back down Mason in the post. Now Pippen had a baby hook, but it was too far away for that shot. So with the shot clock winding down, Pippen fakes, which got Mason off balance a bit, but was able to get in position to not foul and contest the shot as Pippen missed his shot badly. So the Knicks, they gotta stop, get the ball back, and you're about to see one of the worst closeouts ever on the perimeter. So New York, they have Patrick Ewing set a pick for John Starks, and Ewing, he goes to the wing behind the three-point line. And I like this play call to get Bill Cartwright to play defense on the perimeter, because the Bulls center seems lost on this play, as I'm not sure what Chicago's defensive strategy was here, because Cartwright was first dropping back and then decided to double team or hedge. But anyways, Cartwright, he was out of position and needed to recover to his man, Patrick Ewing. So Patrick Ewing, he had a 3-pointer in Game 2, so there was that small threat for Ewing to shoot from out there. But first, I will defend Bill Cartwright. At age 36, just about the end of his NBA career, he was brought to Chicago to play center and be tough down low in the physical East. And I'm guessing Cartwright, he probably never closed out on a shooter at the 3-point line or did any kind of closeout drills since his playing days at the University of San Francisco. So when you close out, 2 basic things that you want to do: have shorter steps when you get close to your man and begin to get low into your defensive stance. Instead, the 36-year-old Bill Cartwright, he can't do those things anymore. As Cartwright, he just slightly goes for the fake and goes well past Ewing, which resulted in this easy drive to the basket. Now maybe Cartwright, he did his best to hustle back to not let Ewing go baseline, hence the overplay and the easy lane to go middle instead baseline, but also, however, the help defense was late. So Ewing gets the layup, Bulls up by 2, about 18 seconds left, and a timeout is called. So here's what we got. A Scottie Pippen isolation with Anthony Mason guarding him. And as I've said before, Scottie Pippen, he was not a good isolation player, as he can't get to his spot and doesn't have that shake, and I thought he never was good at shooting off the dribble. But I have to say this again, that Pippen, he was a fantastic all-around player and did a great job getting points within the offense, in transition, on the offensive glass, from the 3-point line, and getting great position in the post. However, this is not Scottie Pippen's game, isolating on the perimeter. And as you can see what happens, a horrible shot and a 24-second violation. So Knicks ball, extra time, wound up being put back on the clock, meaning 5.5 seconds left to play. And New York, they called a timeout and advanced the ball to midcourt. So the Knicks, they have the ball. The Bulls, they used their delay of game warning, but it didn't make much of a difference, as New York will run the same play, as this was a great design, as a player who screens is overwhelmingly open was overwhelmingly able to get great position. I once had a coach tell me that a player who sets a screen will be open 90% of the time. I don't know where he got that stat, but anyways, a great play design here. Patrick Ewing in the post goes to his patent go to the middle and shoot his 1-foot runner, and thus ties the game up at 102 with 1.8 seconds left. But the crazy thing here is that the Bulls, with timeouts left, they tried to inbound the ball, but a timeout was called, I guess, just in time, and thus the Bulls, they were able to advance the ball near midcourt after the conclusion of their timeout. Okay, so here's the situation. You saw it happen with the 2 previous Bulls possessions with Scottie Pippen taking the shot. So on this possession, with less than 2 seconds left, Bulls coach Phil Jackson, he drove a play where Pippen was not going to take the final shot. This resulted in some tension in the huddle, which forced the Bulls to call 2 timeouts. So in short, Pippen, he refused to play that final 1.8 seconds. Okay, so 1.8 seconds left. And obviously for the Knicks, you need to get your matchups in order, especially since you're expecting Pippen to be out there, which he wasn't. Bulls forward, Toni Kukoc. Now this was his first season in the NBA. And I'm not going to get into that Kukoc, Pippen, Jordan, Jerry Krause stuff, but Kukoc, according to TNT, hit 3 game winners at the buzzer prior to this possession. Now I apologize for saying this again, but I do think Pippen was a great all-around player, but in essence, perhaps Kukoc is your best option, a fluid 6'10", 6'11 player who can shoot from deep and has the ability to shoot over basically everyone. Kukoc's most well-known buzzer beater up to this point was a shot he made against the Indiana Pacers. And this is where scouting comes in, as I think the Knicks, they were ready for what was to come. Now you could argue to put Charles Smith on Kukoc instead of Anthony Mason, as Smith, he was taller, and I believe Smith had a longer wingspan. But the execution here was just tremendous for the Bulls. So the Bulls, they're going to basically run the same exact play that Kukoc hit his game winner against Indiana. So Anthony Mason is going to stick with Kukoc, and we just run it. Kukoc, here he goes, hits the game winner. And as I mentioned earlier, the execution was tremendous. So let me do my best to explain. Commentator Hubie Brown, who knows so much more basketball than I do, and as someone I enjoyed listening to, he thought Kukoc pushed off, but I disagree. The first thing about this play is that Pete Myers, he threw a perfect pass. He threw it to a spot. Kukoc, who gave the illusion of setting a screen, and thus was able to hold his position, seal off his man, which allowed Kukoc to hold his position, be able to judge at the right moment to leave his spot and go for the ball and keep his advantage. If Kukoc left sooner, Mason could have gotten to that ball or be right on Kukoc and at least made it more difficult for Kukoc to get the final shot off. Again, Kukoc, keeping his position and his seal, and went to the spot to get the pass at the right time, keeping his advantage to get that ball. So the Bulls, they won this game. They cut the Knicks series lead to 2-1, but ultimately, the Knicks, they won the series in 7 games. But anyways, now to talk a little bit about the aftermath. So here, I just like looking at Phil Jackson's reaction, and I always wondered what's going through Horace Grant's mind, who was such a professional, and he was best friends with Scottie Pippen. TNT, they covered the press conferences of both Phil Jackson and Scottie Pippen, where they both said that Pippen chose not to go on the court for that final play, and there were reports of the two cussing at each other during the timeout, which led to Pippen taking a seat at the end of the bench. Okay, so once again, let me talk about some good items about Pippen, which will lead into some negative items. So first, obviously, this last 1.8 seconds was not a good look for Pippen, but Scottie Pippen, he has been labeled as a great teammate. Former Bulls center Bill Wennington said Pippen was his favorite teammate. So I do want to mention that, but then well after his career, Pippen, he said some outlandish things. Now I'm not going to get into all of them as there's so much, and I don't care or want to know anything about the Michael Jordan Scottie Pippen beef. And also Pippen has said some things about Phil Jackson. But from my point of view, from looking at Pippen's strengths and Chicago's final few possessions during this game 3, I think it would be very tough for many to give Pippen the final shot. And then of course, I do understand that there are those who may disagree. Thank you so much for watching this video. I greatly appreciate it. I also appreciate all the support. Thank you so much.